causing the pain off a couple of screens. Esquivel to Garcia. Off the deflection. Los Fresnos comes back and wins. Santa Maria will put up a three. Bang! Santa Maria!
Here's Warner. Here comes a headed jam. Counted for two. The field. Adios! And the Falcons win on a walk-off. And it's saved. What a game. What's this?
Smack to the left. That is gone.
Lob for Perez. That's my play. Off the backboard. Counting and a win.
And a win. Brian Perez wins the game for the Santa Rosa Warriors, and they go nuts. And why not?
Live once again here for another edition of Talkin Sports here at Luke Fruia, Buick, GMC, and Cadillac, of course. As they play two home matches this past weekend, and then they have one home match this upcoming. Also get to talk about a little bit of racing talk, because that's kind of course, something to bring up. One thing, of course, to quickly mention, congratulations on Joe Bowling to being named officially the play-by-play announcer for the UTR Sports Live Network. That we knew that it was going to come to. Glad to see that Joe Bowling is. So that's always fun to listen to him, or potentially. And he's very experienced. Well, it's going to be interesting. Pretty brutal out there, and their schedule is not easy in the slightest. Media already, if you've heard, a lot of them are saying they'll win 3 games or anything like that. But either way, congratulations to Joe Bowling on being the play-by-play announcer for the UTRGV Vaqueros football team, as was kind of expected, but it's still awesome to hear that it actually happened. Anyways, moving on, like we mentioned, well, it's time for none other than the RGV Red Crowns talk, and that's very exciting. Once again, we kind of dive straight into it. Now, this was very fun because, well, last week, or a week before, we had kind of talked about it. The RGV Red Crowns were able to win on the road versus none other than the biggest, well, not the biggest team, but Central Texas Coyotes FC, who used to be a part of the MPSL. They moved over to the League for Clubs. Struggling so far this year in the League for Clubs. They ended up losing 2-0 on the at home to none other than the RGV Red Crowns. The RGV Red Crowns able to win that one 2-0, with the first starter being, or the first start for Jack Crichton. He gets a shutout in his first match. It was very good. He talked about it a little bit. I got to interview him yesterday, which is a really good interview on Down in the Valley Soccer's YouTube page if you want to go check that one out. It's just a really good story from him. One of the coolest things that he mentioned, of course, for that one was, yeah, I didn't really have to do a lot that match, but that's normally not going to be the case. I'm going to have to, and pretty interesting. And then, of course, the biggest one that I really want to get into, of course, was the rivalry match in San Antonio. The crazy roster thing. Going into, they didn't have the respect for the RGV Red Crowns coming into Frisco, Texas, to be exact, at the FC Dallas U23 AstroTurf is what, that was pretty interesting in general. FC Dallas's U23s got frustrated. All of a sudden gets fouled, and Zach Hargreaves, the man, the myth, the legend, Zach Hargreaves, he steps up to the penalty. The RGV Red Crowns, and a place where also the RGV Red Crowns, and a place where also a team that again was leading at the time the Texas Conference. A victory on the road, pick up 6 points on the road potentially, because they had a Sunday match versus Tyler FC. Getting those 6 points would be crucial. They ended up leading 2-0 in FC Dallas, that you could watch from. All the matches are streamed on National Soccer Network, but one of the funniest things is, so back in the day, it was about maybe even longer than that. There was against El Trier at the time played for standing and taller than you. I'm a whole head tall. Exactly the same. Indeed, things got heated, and I mean that was, of course, sports. And like I said, FC Dallas U23s had no respect because one of the exact quotes from Jack Crichton. I want to read this exact quote. Was, of course, it's the title of I can hear why it was how the team as a whole felt. It was felt that, and so for the shutout in the League for Clubs Texas Conference. So he has a broadcast, no matter what they on whether it's a National Soccer Network, their own YouTube, whatever it is. Tyler FC, they had a broadcast scheduled and all of that, and all of a sudden that didn't happen. So the RGV Red Crown social media was kind enough to be at the match, and who played in the match, who saw the match, whatever, of that in on goal. Now it's Jason 11, so it was a bit of a change for this. And I did this on the live stream. Someone else: Vicente Alvarez, Zach Hargreaves, Cade Erickson, George Mendoza, Keviano Francis, and Javier Ballesteros. Now, 10 a.m. start time, by the way, for that match. And then they traveled to Tyler that same night, or that same day, which is a 2-hour drive, maybe closer to a 3-hour bus ride in general. And so now you have the starting 11 that's changed against Tyler FC. And that was Juan Carlos Alvarez and on goal, JC, to be exact, between the pipes. Diego Rivera, Diego Vita, Rivera, Axel Monels, Juan Vicente Alvarez, Chema Val. And like that, they got a rest. The biggest thing was that it's a struggling Tyler FC. How will the RGV Red Crowns be able to gas in the tank for this match, even though Tyler FC has been struggling to find a win? Well, quickly was changed with, of course, all the updates that us as the media that weren't at the match were able to get. And this, of course, comes from the RGV Red Crown social media from Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter. And it was so interesting in this whole entire side of things. It made it so very interesting. Fun fact about Keviano Francis, plays from the transfer portal. So he, after this season with the RGV Red Crowns this summer, he goes to Marshall to finish off his collegiate career for at least 2 more years. I would doubt he leaves after 1 to finish off his senior year somewhere else, because Marshall right now, it's a pretty top-tier team, and he's a top-tier player at the moment, unless he may get a professional offer quicker. So that was pretty interesting. 1-0 lead for the for RGV Red Crowns over Tyler FC at that point. And then quickly, right after that, the momentum completely gets even again. And it's tied 1 goal each. Here comes Carlos Gonzalez, though, in the 28th minute, finding the back of the net. Goes 2-1 for the Red Crowns. They lead in that 28th minute. For the first time ever, the RGV Red Crowns will get a player that scores 2 goals or more in a match, and that was Carlos Gonzalez, who gets a brace, puts another one in the back of the net to make it 3-1 for the RGV Red Crowns. Before halftime, at that halftime as well, it was 3-1. And again, your goal scorers was Keviano Francis, Carlos Gonzalez, and Carlos Gonzalez. Carlos Gonzalez getting that first brace in club history. Well, we'd have down for a bit in the pace of the match. 10 minutes into the second half, though, Tyler FC would find the back of the net. They find the back of the net, makes it 3-2. All of a sudden, the RGV Red Crowns, their lead is only as slim as 1. And then 21 minutes later, Keviano Francis will find the back of the net. and be the second ever player to get a brace. The first time in club history would 2 players get a brace in a single match. Scoring 2 goals or more to be or scoring 2 goals in a single match to be exact. Keviano Francis finding the back of the net, making it 4 goals to 2. Then a little more, then a little scary in the end of the match, because in the 80th minute, FC Tyler, I believe it's Tyler FC, really. Yeah, it's Tyler FC, exactly. It's not FC Tyler, it's Tyler FC. Finds the back of the net, making it 4 goals to 3. RGV Red Crowns still lead by 1 goal. Then for a while, again, remember, no stream. So as everyone who works for the club that didn't go to the match or as a fan, they're waiting and waiting on the social media admin to post the final score, to finally have that final whistle to see what the final score would be. And then all of a sudden, after 10 minutes or more of waiting, we get the full-time graphic. It says 4 goals to 3 full-time. RGV Red Crowns win. Absolutely a massive result for the RGV Red Crowns. Yes, you can look back at it and say, well, but for that match, the RGV Red Crowns gave up 3 goals. But they scored 4 goals. So they get the 3 points. Yes, there's stuff to work on the defensive side, I would definitely say, just from reading that. It's being able to focus right after you score a goal that you lead. Because that's happened to them, where it was Corinthians FC of San Antonio. They scored a goal pretty quickly right afterwards. RGV Red Crowns were able to take advantage of them scoring that goal by going right down the field, right down the pitch, getting tripped up inside the box. Hargreaves steps up, puts it in the back of the net. It's all tied up at 1. That was all because of Corinthians FC of San Antonio weren't expecting the RGV Red Crowns to really come out after being scored on and being able to score one right back. And so those 5 minutes right after, Edson Ochoa, my colleague for the RGV Red Crowns, he said it best himself in that one, that those 5 minutes are going to be key right after you score a goal. Right after any team scores a goal, can they, for the opposition, can they stop the opposition from having any of that momentum, taking that momentum away from the team that scored the goal to take the lead? So that's, of course, a good part of the whole thing. But the way that the RGV Red Crowns, even with that, were able to come back, score another goal, and score another one to be up 3 goals to 1 at the break. Yes, giving up a goal, conceding a goal in that second half, 10 minutes in, and then 21 minutes to be exact later. All of a sudden, it's 4 goals to 2, then 4 goals to 3 at the end, but they held on for the win on the road. And so that's resilience right there. You take away that negative part of that match, there's only really positives to look at because of how not perfect the match was, but they were able to be resilient. So there's a positive within that for sure, getting those 3 points. Jack Crichton talked about it as well. He, of course, didn't play in that one, but he said in the locker room afterwards, it was something of sorts of this team. The key was we scored more than the other team, and that's kind of what I think Coach kind of drilled in their minds with just doing exactly that. And so a massive, massive victory for this side. 2 players scoring more than 1 goal in a match is absolutely exciting, and scoring those 4 goals on the road brings a lot of hope for this team, because this next match that they play against is Foro FC at home. And so Foro FC at home, they don't expect to, they are, I believe, dead last in the conference. standings. Now, we don't necessarily at the moment have a conference standings at the moment. We'll just make sure for the leagues for clubs, because there's still a lot really to talk about on this, and we're just waiting to see if there is kind of an update in the standings. There was an update for the Northeast standings, but I haven't seen one for the update of the standings of this league, or this conference to be exact, the Texas Conference, because it was an absolutely crazy time. And so, I mean, we'll wait and see. But anyways, there's, again, so much positivity on this team. I talked about it before, and a couple weeks ago, before the Central Texas match, I said, I didn't say I don't think. I said this team will never lose again. It's a cheeky little thing that from this show called Shorzy, he said, but that was such a positive thing on it. And again, right now, this team is showing why they can do that. So I wanted to see if they updated any of the standings, and they have. At the moment, the RGV Red Crowns, with 6 matches played, they have 4 wins, no losses and 2 draws. No draws and 2 losses. Corinthians FC still have a game in hand because they've only played 5 and have won 4 matches, drawn none, and lost 1. So it's been an absolute interesting sort of turn of events at the moment for this side. FC Dallas U23s find themselves in 3rd place with 9 points. So it's absolutely pretty interesting just in general of how it's all been. So very excited about where RGV Red Crowns are. Now FC Revolution are the last team. 4OSC, check that, are in 6th place. They played 4, they've won 2, they've drawn 1 and lost 1. So they're not the worst team in the world, by far. You look at a couple of the players as well. It's pretty interesting in general. None that really stand out in my eyes, but it's a team that's going to come to try and win, especially break up this win streak that the RGV Red Crowns have. There's not a lot of matches left in this season. What the RGV Red Crowns will play this Saturday, then they'll play Wednesday, and they'll play next Saturday. Those will be the 3 home matches before finishing off the season on the road on the 2nd of July, the regular season to be exact. So only 4 matches left in this season. It's going to be very, very exciting indeed, and I cannot wait for it. We're going to take a break. When we return, we'll talk about the team of the week, and then we'll move on to racing talk because there's a lot to talk about after, of course, the 24 hours of Le Mans. Then we have the 24 hours of the Nürburgring coming up, and also, not to mention the sailing's 6 hours this upcoming weekend. And that's something to, of course, bring up as well because it's a part of Cadillac. It's part of all of this. Well, once again, we're here at Luke Fruia, Buick, GMC, and Cadillac. If you're in the market for a new car, check out Luke Fruia, Buick, GMC, and Cadillac, located in beautiful Brownsville, Texas. We'll be right back after this. Stay tuned.
This summer, settle in and reconnect with one another. South Padre Island has so many great places to stay. Condos, resorts, and hotels. Oh my! Book your summer getaway today. And start making memories poolside with the people you care about most. Visit SoPadre.com.
Elevation, AT4, AT4X, Denali. Case closed. Fruia GMC, we're professional grade.
Fiber, business or home, take a look at what we do.
At San Benito Vision Source, the optometry staff works around your busy schedule and take the time to answer your questions and concerns prior to a visit. Dr. Jaime Rodriguez and Dr. Laura Loki offering full vision examinations, diagnostics, and treatment of an array of eye diseases and conditions to keep your eyes healthy. Call the friendly staff today with questions or schedule a consultation. San Benito Vision Source.
Sunny Glen Children's Home has provided a place of hope for every child since 1936. If you'd like more information on Sunny Glen and the services we offer, please visit us at www.sunnyglen.org.
South Padre Island. Enjoy endless activities for all ages. Then dance the night away with live music, savor fresh seafood, and discover unique food trucks and shop our charming boutiques. What are you waiting for? Escape the everyday at South Padre Island.
Sherryland ISD, a nationally recognized district focusing on quality and rigorous instruction where every child is immersed in a culture of academic success. Sherryland ISD, excellence is our tradition.
When you study local at Texas Southmost College.
Well, back live we go once again to hear from Luke Fruia, Buick GMC and Cadillac. If you're in the market for a new car, check out Luke Fruia, Buick GMC and Cadillac, located in Brownsville, Texas. Once again, I'm Jacob Young, and this is Real Sports Live Network here. Just talking sports once again. One of the biggest things right now that's happening in sports in the RGV has been none other than the RGV Red Crowns. That's what and who we have been talking about, because they've been such an impressive side, and just the way that the owner of Jamal Kobe Fayad has taken this team, the way that the whole entire region has taken this team has been very, very impressive. And what I mean by that is just the community of Harlingen in general, because that's where the team's located, has been absolutely loving this team. And let me tell you something. There's not many players that are either from overseas or out of town, but at the same time, you got to win. You've got to know how to win, and that's exactly what they're doing. A lot of players are from here, and that's the best part about this. So it's absolutely been an amazing experience to be able to cover this team and all that. So we move on from the two matches that the RGV Red Crowns played this last weekend. Not only where have they been, it's been top two now, behind Corinthians FC of San Antonio, making that Corinthians FC of San Antonio loss at home just a little more frustrating in general. I know that the players feel that same way, but what can you do but move forward and just take care of the things that you can control, which is a win every single match in front of you. And so that's exactly what this team has been able to do. And what I'm trying to look at here will be, once again, from the League 4 clubs, is the team of the week. And the team of the week is a pretty interesting team of the week, to be exact. You start off Zach Hargreaves, your midfielder off the left would be for the RGV Red Crowns. He makes the team of the week for, I believe, the second week in a row. Then for the RGV Red Crowns again on the right side, Keviano Francis. makes it with, of course, getting that brace against Tyler FC, really solidifying his spot in Team of the Week. Diego Rivera will make his name known with another Team of the Week appearance as well. And that central defensive spot is where they put him in the Team of the Week. And then Jack Crichton on goal gets Team of the Week merit for, again, getting another shutout behind goal, 2-0. That's his second shutout, to be exact. Like we mentioned, he did it against none other than Central Texas FC. So he's been an absolute gem to have for this team. And he did mention it in his interview, and I want to bring this up too because, well, before he even got to this club, he wasn't on this team yet. And so the start of the season, you had J.C. Alvarez, and on goal, he was starting every match. And the first match, of course, was against Corinthians FC of San Antonio on the road. They unfortunately dropped 2-0 loss with 2 set-piece goals. And then at home, he gets the first ever shutout for the club, and it ends up being at home. Vicente Alvarez scores the first ever goal for the club in general, and it happens to be at home as well. What I'm trying to get at for that whole entire thing was with the Corinthians, or not with the Corinthians FC of San Antonio, but J.C. Alvarez, he gets a nod to start. He gets that shutout. But he, in my eyes, didn't really have any competition in a way, or someone that could truly was ahead of him to help him out besides the goalkeeping coach. And that's great and all, but when you look back at it, you always want to have a certain play, or you always want to have a veteran goalkeeper in a way that can really help benefit you. And Jack is that perfect player. I know. I'm really going into this man. We'll get to, guess what? Here's a fun fact. Not too long from now, you'll get to hear J.C. Alvarez's story of how he became the man he is today on the soccer field. And his story of how he fell in love with the beautiful game that is soccer. I get to interview him tomorrow, so the interview will probably come out on either the next day or that evening, again on the Down in the Valley soccer channel, which is pretty awesome. Anyways, I'm just bringing both of them up because that's a bond that you can have. And Jack Crichton, he talked about it in his interview. He's also a goalkeeping coach for a college up in Savannah, Georgia, to be exact. And so that's awesome. He gets to do that for his life. He gets to also play still because, believe it or not, and he even mentioned this as well, he's only 28 years old. He hasn't even hit the peak of being a goalkeeper yet. When if you were to think of goalkeepers in the first team, you think of goalkeepers being 30 years old of age or a little bit older. Because goalkeepers can normally play just like quarterbacks almost till they're 40. And so it's pretty interesting to think about. And so he's only 28 years of age, still has time to make it to that professional ranks if he wants to. And he talked about it, and he's just saying, look, there is some type of a bond as well. We want each other to be very successful, and that's key. And so I think it's awesome that he's able to be in that situation that he is now. And Jack has really helped this club out. Like I said, he ends up getting 2 shutouts. He doesn't start that third game. J.C. Alvarez able to make as many saves as possible, and they still end up winning 4 goals to 3 in the end, which was absolutely a very, very impressive victory. And again, this team of the week, I think there's only going to be more this upcoming week. You have Zach Hargreaves. You have Keviano Francis on there, Diego Rivera, then Jack Crichton. I won't be shocked to see more players on this team of the week come next week because this team is on such a high. They're coming home. Yes, they've played on turf fields mainly for this whole entire road trip. But here in the valley as well, they've seen tremendous amounts of rain. Even in Harlingen, I believe they said half a foot of rain, something like that. So we're only supposed to get more throughout this week, and I'll give you the info on, of course, what is the weather going to be like for the match if you are anticipating on going to it. So for the Harlingen weather at the moment, for this upcoming Thursday and Friday, we'll give you the predictions for Thursday. There's expected to be precipitation through 0.05 inches, not a lot of rain, basically. 20% chance of rain throughout that whole entire day. On Thursday, wouldn't expect much rain. Same deal for Friday, with which it will rain, but it's not expected to be anything more than maybe 0.07. So there will be rain, but not as much. Now, Saturday has changed completely because there was expected to be some more precipitation, not necessarily precipitation, but what's that word called? There was expected to be a tropical drought, or not tropical drought, but a tropical depression in the Gulf, creating potentially a lot of rain, and especially around Harlingen, you'd expect there to be more. Well, again, you look at that Saturday, and it is still expected to rain some from 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 12 p.m., but it's not big chances. It's only 20% and ends at 1 p.m. 15 miles per hour wind is expected, 79% humidity though, and sunrise at 6:39, sunset at 8:26. So not a lot of precipitation, but again, there was rain this week. There was rain last week for the field. The field hasn't been at its tip-top shape. Of course, it's trying to get better and better and better. So that's one thing, of course, to think about, and that's a good thing. I really do believe that this week is going to be the best week for that field. The team doesn't necessarily practice on the field until really it gets closer to game time, which is nice. And so it lets the field get better and better. And I'm sure tomorrow, Friday, and even Saturday before the match, the whole entire crew will go over the field, making sure that there are no holes, nothing of that sort, making sure that everything is level and that the grass can be cut as short as possible and that the ball can glide smoothly through the ground, and the team won't have to keep it up, to be exact, which is just one of the things that we've noticed. But of course, again, it's been almost a month since the last home match. It's been under a month, but just something, of course, to keep an eye on. So very excited indeed. We're going to go to 3:10 for the time, or around 3:10 to be exact, for this whole entire show. We did start just a tiny bit late, but 40 minutes into this one, and that will really end this soccer talk. Prediction for this match, well, I predict there to be, this is my prediction really. It has nothing to do with the score, but I predict there to be a sellout in this match. For the RGV Red Crowns, coming off of a crazy amount of wind, coming off of a perfect way to get some wins, and finding themselves in second place. Top two would host a playoff match. So they are on the right direction here. It's going to be a tough one. It's not going to be as easy, but there's still a massive chance. Anyways, it's going to do it for this portion. When we return, we will talk about some racing and some fun stuff. We'll be right back after this. Stay tuned.
Degree programs, certificates, and workforce training programs, all at the most affordable cost in the Rio Grande Valley. transfer your TSC credits to a university, or start a new career, like Kat Gomez, who graduated from TSC and is now patrolling the streets of Brownsville and serving her community. Register now at tsc.edu/register and study local at Texas Southmost College.
At San Benito Vision Source, the optometry staff works around your busy schedule and take the time to answer your questions and concerns prior to a visit. Dr. Jaime Rodriguez and Dr. Laura Loki offering full vision examinations, diagnostics, and treatment of an array of eye diseases and conditions to keep your eyes healthy. Call the friendly staff today with questions or schedule a consultation. San Benito Vision Source.
This summer, it's time for mimosas and brunch with the girls. A beachside lunch with the kiddos. Delicious Bayside burgers. And world-famous fried shrimp with a cold one. South Padre Island has your breakfast, lunch, and dinner plans covered. Book your summer getaway today. Visit sopadre.com.
Back live we go once again to here at Luke Fruia Buick GMC and Cadillac. If you're in the market for a new car, we'll check out Luke Fruia Buick GMC and Cadillac, located off of the expressway here in Brownsville, Texas. Beautiful Brownsville, Texas right now. It's actually a very nice, pleasant day. It is hot, but the wind is making things very much bearable in my eyes. I do like the heat, reason why I kind of live here as well. So anyways, moving on, like we mentioned, of course, now talking a little bit about racing talk. There was a big event this past weekend. I don't know if anyone heard of it, called the Le Mans 24 Hours. And there was a little race in between it, and we'll talk a little bit about this as well because we brought it up. And now, of course, time for a little bit of Samantha Tan talk. Before Samantha Tan Racing, she was able to join WRT for this race weekend. And what she was able, this past race weekend, what she was able to do with WRT was the Le Mans Cup, aka Road to Le Mans. She was not able to join into the 24 hours of Le Mans. Still needed, of course, time. Still needs time in general because, you take a look at, of course, I don't know necessarily how it works, but there's, of course, a licensing thing, and one of the things that she's doing right now, she's an IMSA, the VP Racing Fuels Challenge, though. But if you win that championship from the bronze category or the pro category, you are able to get an exemption into the next season, meaning you get your card for that season, and fees for the most part are waived or anything like that. So it's a big prize, and so that's where she was at, and of course able to make a deal with none other than WRT and BMW and have an opportunity to race at Le Mans in 2 races for the race weekend, a support series to be exact. And in the first race, overall in class, gets P6 for the team, and then in the second race gets P4 for the team. So she yesterday or 2 days ago made a video trying to, of course, explain, how the weekend went for herself, and she couldn't really necessarily put it into words how amazing it was, because it is every driver's dream to be racing at places like De La Sarthe, Circuit de la Sarthe, racing at Daytona in the 24 hours or even close to it. Racing, of course, at the Nürburgring 24 especially, at Spa 24, at Bathurst for the 12. like there are dreams for teams and for drivers, and it really, in a way, doesn't get bigger than the Le Mans 24. Though, of course, the American enemy comes out and says, well, the Daytona 24 hours is bigger. Well, not really. For a 24-hour event, it is still Circuit de la Sarthe and the 24 hours of Le Mans. And so she talked about it and how, of course, last year, and we discussed it on here, how the team Samantha Tan Racing didn't end up winning their championship in GT World Challenge Americas, and how they just came short. And she started questioning, is this even the right path for myself? And felt stuck and things like that. And I felt very impelled to share it because, I mean, I felt like this, especially being here at Rio Sports Live Network. It's an amazing, amazing thing, but just felt so stagnant for a while. And getting this opportunity to cover for the RGB Red Crowns has been a blessing and everything, and just felt that. Anyways, it was a really amazing event, and she was able to learn so much from this past weekend that I'm very, very happy, proud for her, and looking forward to what is up next. And she had started off saying, hello from Frankfurt, Germany. She was in Frankfurt from France. This week is the 24 hours of the Nürburgring. And they had also said that she had an announcement coming soon. And when she was in Frankfurt, I kind of connected the dots. Samantha Tan will be racing in the 2025 Nürburgring 24 hours, but not in a car that you would expect. You'd expect, okay, she's running in 24 hours, probably going to be in the BMW TC car, which is normally how you'd start off running the 24, but of course she already has that experience, would probably try for a GT4, so maybe the BMW M4 GT4 car, which she has one, so probably would be under, her team. Well, no. What's the best thing about this? She is joining with her first love, her first car that she really ever raced in professional racing. She started off her career in a series and drove the Mini Cooper. And so, of course, it's the newest version of the Mini Cooper, but she's back to being front-wheel drive, racing in the 24 hours with a completely different team, and that's going to be very exciting. She still gets the opportunity to run in the 24 hours, just in a completely different class than she'll be used to. Nerve-wracking and exciting, because, again, it is still. No one can argue this this comment, because it is it's a real, it's just a fact in a way. It's the most dangerous circuit still alive to this day, because it's combined. It's a Grand Prix track to a 17+ mile circuit that has barely any runoff, that I've seen horrific wrecks, that it could be raining on one side or legitimately hailing on one side, and then the other part is sunny as can be. Dangerous conditions normally happen, unfortunately, and you could have a wreck. They have all these safety precautions in for a code 60, which means you are slowing down to probably 30, if not 20, if not 10 miles an hour through that zone. And just to avoid the wreck that probably just happened, and there's safety crews everywhere, and it's such a long one, so there's slow zones only and no full court cautions, and you have to be very alert constantly, and through the night you can barely see. There's just headlights. It's absolutely an insane event in general, and only the bravest do it. And I respect every single one of those drivers that decide to do the 24. And I'm so excited for Samantha Tan to check another thing off her box and be able to really just keep pushing that's her motto as well. Keep pushing and going forward in her career. I'm so excited for her to live that dream, and looking forward to seeing what she can do, or hearing what she can do in 24 hours. 24 hours of the Nürburgring, the way that it is broadcasted, is normally the top flight, which would be the GT3 championship cars normally, and it's really difficult because there's, if I'm not mistaken, there's over 70 cars out on the racetrack at the same time, maybe more than that. I think maybe close to 100 or something on the racetrack at the same time. Again, it's big enough to do that, to have that type of endurance race, and there's enough garages and all of that. And so there's literally close to 15 different races happening at once. You think it's one big race? No. It's one massive race with 15 different races in between. So I guess it is. It's one massive race with at least 15 races in between. You have one class, like the touring car class. Then it could be separated into another class, the Porsche Carrera Cup class in between. Then you have the GT4s. Then you have the GT3s from the IGTC. Then you have another GT3 competition for the overall. And then you have, it's absolutely insane to keep track of, but it's just a spectacle that I've been told, that you've only seen from TV and things like that. And I can't wait. Yeah, it's crazy enough. The track is starting to grow on me to watch. It's tough to drive, but again, it's something special from everybody. So, looking forward to it. I'm looking very much forward to it, of course, like we mentioned. This weekend as well is the Salem 6 Hours of the Glen, and that will entail the Cadillac GTP teams from Cadillac Welland to others, as well as, of course, Wayne Taylor Racing's Cadillac team. So that's always exciting. But right now it's been BMW have normally gotten pole in those big races, and then all of a sudden Porsche ended up winning. Porsche Penske to be exact. We thought that was going to be the case as well this past 24 hours of Le Mans. That didn't end up happening in the GTP category, as Ferrari ended up going 1, 2, 4. But the fourth place ended up getting disqualified, so that brought one of the Cadillac teams to P4, just outside of the podium. But Porsche still ended up getting possibly P2. I forget exactly the whole thing, but it was crazy. And again, looking forward to the Salem 6 Hours of the Glen. It's just an absolute perfect time of sports car racing. You can't get it any better than this. Because not too long after that, guess what? After the Salem 6 Hours, after the 24 hours of the Nürburgring, coming up right after that, not too long from then, 24 hours of Spa. Then things, of course, do slow down, unfortunately, afterwards, but those are just very exciting races. Then you have the Battle of Bricks closer to September. You have the WEC with the 6 hours of the Lone Star Le Mans, 6 hours, so that's exciting. My plan is to be there for that one, so everything's great. Well, anyways, it's time to wrap up this show. Thank you so very much for watching, for listening in. I always love to cover all of this. Of course, I know very soon from now we will be having some more media days, probably volleyball at Luke Fruia, talking to, of course, coaches again, and maybe, of course, talking to some players in person will be fun. We might have a couple of other things in store for you all, but so much fun. we will be, of course, back next Wednesday for another show. But I've been Jacob Young. This has been a Real Sports Live presentation. Until next time, thank you all.